That's the wrong screen. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the BUSR and the 6th round of the Formula 1 Winter Championship. We are heading over to Las Vegas, and, I mean, we have no idea what's going to happen, but there is a title fight going on, and we're all up in it. Hello, Frey. Thank you for joining me today. Yeah, so you're not fully caught up on everything that's been happening. We've had a championship fight going on, and for all of you viewers at home, we've got Chris Spilakoris and Josh Woolley fighting it out. Chris Spilakoris was not there last weekend, but Josh was, and he managed to get the win. So, Frey, I mean, that kind of performance. What are you thinking? I know you haven't really been watching, but can Josh win, or is Chris going to be too good?
Yeah, so again, I haven't played a single F1 game since F1 23, and I've been kind of really out of the loop. I do remember racing against Josh very briefly back when I joined BUSR, and I remember his pace was really good, and I can only assume it's gotten considerably better since then. So regardless of who comes out on top, I think we are in for a fantastic race here at the Las Vegas Strip Circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got not just one race, we've got two races for you guys. We've got the sprint race today, so we're going to head into qualifying shortly. Followed by, I believe, it's going to be the normal qualifying right away, or I might be wrong. I'm really confused about how the qualifying system works in this when it's sprint weekends. But anyway, we've got a sprint race and also a regular full race for you guys today. So by the looks of it, yeah, we're going to be heading into sprint qualifying. Then we'll have the normal qualifying for the main race, then followed by a 9-lap sprint race, and then a 25-lap feature race. So, I mean, it looks like we're gonna have a pretty full lobby here. 16 drivers in the lobby, starting to ready up soon. Should be readying up now, actually. And we're going to be heading into this very shortly. Weather predictions, I don't know. But it will be really funny if it rains like it did last night in real life.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, Las Vegas, Nevada is not exactly known for its rain, so it would take a minor miracle for it to rain. I mean, the fact that it happened in real life really did add some spice to it. We saw some incredible saves from some of the drivers in real life. I fear for their biceps having to make massive snaps of correction on the wheel. But this track, I think. It's one of the more interesting designs. I mean, to me, if I squint, it kind of looks like holding a pig upside down. But I think that's kind of what gives it a little bit of charm. You know, it's unlike many other circuits that we've seen. And I know some people hate F1's street circuits, and I'll be honest, I like the more permanent racetracks. But the Vegas circuit, I mean, there's just something special to it, isn't there? Something so glamorous about that lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Vegas is one of the most iconic cities in the world, and to have a Grand Prix on the streets of Vegas, I mean, that must be quite a spectacle. And we are loading in to the sprint qualifying right now, and we'll see what's going to be like there in just a moment. It looks like a few drivers may be having some slight internet issues because it takes a while. But yes, as you mentioned, the track looks like an upside down pig. I do think that's quite funny. I'm not one for street circuits myself, but I think this street circuit can actually be pretty decent at times.
Yeah, definitely. And in terms of actual track information, I think by length it is one of the longest on the F1 calendar at about 6.2 kilometers. The race distance in real life is roughly 310 kilometers, 17 corners with 2 DRS zones. The main one, of course, being on the Vegas Strip. It's the longest DRS zone on the calendar, if I'm correct. So it really gives our drivers a very tiny margin for error as they fly towards turn 14 at some of the fastest speeds that we've ever recorded in an F1 race. Just last year, Alex Albon set a very, very nice highest ever speed recorded in an F1 car of 369 kilometers an hour. For those of you who are like, what the hell is a kilometer? That equates to about 229.2 miles per hour. So they call Monza the Temple of Speed, but I reckon this is probably a little shrine to speed.
Absolutely. And as we head into qualifying, we're about to see just what kind of speed our drivers can pull off here. So we've got one person out on track at the moment, GMT UFC in the Haas, exiting the pits now. There are 2 DRS zones here. The second DRS zone down the really long straight is actually only about half of the length of the straight, but it's such a long straight that you do just pick up so much speed, even though the DRS zone is fairly short. And dare I say, most of the overtaking down there gets done long before turn 14.
Yeah, it is an insanely long stretch, and I mean, I fear for those engines just absolutely redlining it all the way down the strip. And of course, our drivers have a lot to consider when it comes to setup. Really, the biggest thing is downforce, because you don't want to have too much of it, because otherwise you'll have a really, really draggy car down the strip. But you also really do need that grip for some of these sweeping corners, especially in kind of the second sector of the track, turns 5 through 12. You really do need a little bit, a lot more downforce, just carry more speed through those corners. So ultimately, it's about trying to find that middle ground, having that grip through the corners, but also, having it, not be too draggy on the straights. I mean, in real life, it's way easy to tell what sort of setup they're running, but I think in the game it is a little more tricky to just tell at a glance whether they're running something that's more low downforce. You can just see how close our drivers are having to get to the wall. We've got GMT UFC in the Haas, blasting down between turns 4 and 5, slamming on the brakes and just absolutely mullering that curb on the right-hand side, nearly contact with that left-hand side wall.
I think that was
coming through
contact.
turn 6. Yeah, a little bit of tyre banging, but I think it is otherwise okay. Through 7 and 8 they go, and it's a very awkward braking zone into turn 9. The corner does seem to kind of drag on. It might be a little bit off camber, coming down towards some sweeping corners. We've got turn 10, which seems to have a little bump beforehand. Turn 11, the left-hander, into the very, very sharp left of 12. You can just see how aggressive they're having to be on the steering as we now come down onto the strip. Now, I mean, the strip, again, super, super long straight, longest on the F1 calendar, super high speeds as well. You can just see at the bottom there how much speed they have. So that is, what's that, 342 kilometers an hour down that back straight. And because you're going so fast, you really have to be on the ball when it comes to getting into the braking zone. 14 through 16 done very, very smoothly, just hugging that right hand side to open up the final corner as much as possible. GMT UFC across the line, and that is that's our first time on the board, and that puts them fastest at the moment. I can't actually see what that time says.
131.4. I don't know if this is going to be a particularly fast lap time. I don't know what to expect today, to be honest. But all I can tell you, there is a mixture of tires out. I have a feeling that drivers only have maybe 2 sets of tires, maybe 3 sets for the sprint portion of the weekend, as last year sets a new fastest time, 131.1. So we're probably going to be looking at mid to high 130s here, if I was to guess, from our fastest drivers, such as Chris Spilakoris, who is out on the medium, so we might not actually see as fast of a lap time as we might on some softs. You may notice Ender Epic, and that is a new fastest time. Okay, maybe we're looking at low 130s then. But you may notice Ender Epic is out on the inters. Now, you're probably unaware, but just to catch you up, and for any viewers at home that have not watched any of the previous races, there is an Inters pole. And you get an extra point for it in the championship. Now, I'm not sure if that applies to the sprint qualifying, but Ender Epic is the only one to set a lap time on the Inters, so I think you would automatically get it for the sprint here, because drivers can only set it in like the first few minutes of the qualifying session and not towards the end. So that's Ender Epic's run on the Inters now. He will be coming into the pits and switching onto some slicks. It is absolutely bone dry here in the Mojave Desert. So, let's have a look. There's a couple drivers yet to set a lap. Assassin coming across the line now. Go 9th.
Vegas, again, I think it is also the newest circuit on the F1 calendar. I think next year we've got the Madring to look forward to, if I'm not mistaken. So I think we're going to cherish this brand new track as much as we can. This will be the 3rd year of the Vegas Grand Prix running, at least in the form that it currently has. Previously, it was literally in the car park of Caesar's Palace, which is one of the more glamorous hotels on the Strip, which does offer an insane $5 million package to stay in their resort and have full access to the Grand Prix. But I'm not sure if that price is completely correct. But you know, there might only be one suite that works on board currently with Josh Woolley, who pulls into the pit lane. It looks like he's bailing out of that lap, and he's going to be swapping his tyre compound. Like either that or I don't really know. I don't know how many tyre compounds they're being given for the whole weekend. I know that is something that the drivers are going to have to consider. If you're running multiple tyres in qualifying, you're going to have less fresh sets to use later on, especially since this is sprint qualifying. Got another qualifying session, and you've got 2 races, so you've really got to be strategic about your tyre choice.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's have a look at who else is currently out. So it looks like Ben Mills. He's either coming in this lap or he's going to stay out on these tires. Looks like the battery is fairly charged up, so he might stay out for another lap here on the mediums. They can probably last another lap for qualifying here. But the softs that were out on some of the drivers will need to be swapped out. And okay, Ben is coming into the pits. But we've now got a few drivers coming back out, or will be in a moment. Everybody else is currently pitted, though.
I mean, there's a lot of drivers that I'm seeing here on the grid that I've never seen before. I mean, I've also been well out of the loop of F1, so you know, it's always nice to see some. I say new talent. They've probably been in BUSR for ages, and I've just not noticed. So it could just be me being not very good at observing things. But you know, it's cool to see drivers that I personally haven't had much chance to see in action. You know, hitting the track on a race weekend. I think it's really fun, as we're seeing. I think that's Ginka currently coming through the final corner of the Las Vegas Strip circuit, trying to cut that inside as much as possible. It looks like there was no improvement on their time. They're staying at a 1:31.7. Hopefully they can improve a little bit. It'd be cool to see a Sauber fighting in the top 10. That's really the glory of. Actually, no, there was already a Sauber in the top 10. Well, who am I kidding? That's one of the great things about the F1 games is you can turn on equal performance, and you can just see some of your favourite teams that maybe don't perform as well in real life, you know, fighting up there. We've got Woolley in the Williams, or I guess Williams. That joke's been made before, surely.
I haven't heard that one yet.
Second
so
place.
I'm going to say it's a
Really?
new joke. Yeah.
I feel like that is just such like easy pickings. But yeah, the Williams currently coming through I've lost myself. Turns 7 and 8 next to the Las Vegas Sphere, which I'm almost tempted to wonder if the sphere in the game also follows the drivers around the track like it does in real life, or if it just, plays a video on loop, which would be way more boring.
I can't tell. It's really hard to tell. I want to see that now.
Well, yeah, a lot of the camera angles don't exactly focus on the sphere, but we are more interested in the racing action. I'm just getting distracted because that's kind of what I'm good at. We are currently seeing, I believe that is Newt, currently holding down 3rd position in sprint qualifying. We've got just over a minute to go. Coming through sector 1. I think that is an improvement on their time as well.
Oh, but that's an invalidation.
Oh, is that an invalidation? I mean, it looked like they might have just... It looks like, he's still going full throttle, though.
No. The track map has gone red. He has invalidated, so that is going to be last year Newt's final time. I don't think he has enough time to make it to start the new lap. So let's have a look over at Josh Woolley. He needs to make up a fair bit of time here to catch up to Chris's, who he is fighting in the championship with. Chris is quite comfortably on pole at the moment, but does Josh Woolley have the pace? He sets a purple sector 1 almost 4/10 up, which is what he needs. If he can continue at this pace, he might have it, but both drivers have set their previous lap on the mediums, and they are now on softs, so both of them expect to make improvement.
Yeah, definitely. As we approach the end of the lap, I know the track kind of ramps up towards the end of the session. So the drivers who are going to be the last out, the last across the line before the time runs out, have probably some of the best chances to set down a really decent lap. And again, this is, only sprint qualifying. Any points in the championship are still really important, as Luke Sawyer, absolutely blistering out there in the Mercedes, takes provisional pole. But we've still got Chris and Woolley finishing off their lap, so we could see that pole time get taken away. That's Ben Mills now goes to provisional pole in the Williams. Josh Woolley now coming through the final corner, and he takes provisional pole also in the Williams. Currently a Williams 1 and 2, which is huge for the Williams outfit. But here comes Chrysis, who's currently absolutely storming his way in that Red Bull, trying to ruin the hopes and dreams of the Williams team. Coming through the final corner now. He doesn't get it. He's in P3 still. So that is Woolley on pole position. It's a 1-2 for Williams, and that is Josh Woolley ahead of his championship rival.
Absolutely, and they've got Ben Mills splitting them up as well. It's going to be an interesting run down to turn 1. It's very short up to turn 1. Here comes Ender Epic to finish his lap, and that is the end of sprint qualifying 1. Yeah, absolutely great job there from Woolley, and I expect that the race is going to be as incredible from him as well. That being said, I feel like Josh is a lot more comfortable in Vegas than Chrysis is. I have a feeling Chrysis might have mentioned that he does not like Vegas.
I mean, I don't blame him. I feel like the track's a bit like Marmite. You either love it or you hate it. And I mean, with it also being a really, really new track, a lot of people don't have that kind of experience. So some people here, again, it came out, I think, alongside F1 23. So really, it was it's been not that long since the track was properly introduced. And as the cars have continued to evolve and will evolve again next year, we are just seeing more and more people who are maybe getting more accustomed to the track, and some people who I don't know. It feels like a track that maybe doesn't gel with some people, just because of the nature of some of the corners. But Wooly just looks completely at home. He's really making himself comfortable at the front of the field.
Yeah, and I forgot to see what session we're actually heading into, but the way it's loading, I have a feeling we're actually going to the sprint. So the full qualifying session will be after the sprint, so that's good to know. That probably makes more sense, because then you actually use your tires in the right order. Otherwise, you could probably do some weird stuff with your qualifying sets of tires.
That would check out. And you know what? It's like 2 races for the price of 1. And when you've got this much great racing action here at BUSR, you really, really can't complain. We're heading into the sprint now. So let me see if I can pull up any more fun facts. Right.
Well, I'm going to have to stop you there, because the sprint race is about to begin.
Okay.
Take it away, Frey.
And it's lights out, and away we go for the sprint race here at the Las Vegas Grand Prix. The inside Williams looking really, really, ahead, as we've got Chris is starting to fall back down a little bit more. We've got Luke Sawyer making up ground really quite well. Liam Doherty alongside Chris is coming down the back straight between turn 4 and 5. It is Ben Mills currently leading from Wooly. And that is an overtake done for Liam Doherty, with Dale and Newt now going side by side. The Kick Sauber and the Red Bull coming through turn number 6 now and into the chicane of 7 and 8. They're still side by side, nearly banging tyres as they come into the next corner. The Kick Sauber still on the inside of turn number 9 as we come now into the sweepers. That is a done job for Newt. We've got CT08 alongside Ginka, but up front we've still got Wooly chasing down his Williams teammate Ben Mills for first place. Luke Sawyer in third, nearly 3 wide for a second there, as Tadpole in the RB makes their way into 7th place. Newt still holding down P6. Dale falling down the order a little bit. Ender falling down into P10. Chris is currently chasing down the rest of the pack, coming into the braking zone of turn 14 through this kind of really tight chicane. That's like if you took the castle section in Baku and made it a lot more friendly. Thomas currently down in P12, chasing down GMTLFC currently in the Haas. He's basically pushing him through that final corner, looking to the inside of turn number 1 in the Aston Martin, trying to make any sort of move that he can. The Haas just kind of chops across the nose, closes that door, says no thank you, and Thomas still in P12, moving back up the order. Luke Sawyer chasing down the Williams pair. Wooly looking to the inside, almost letting Ben know, hey, I'm here, and this could really matter for the championship. A little bit of contact there with the nose of Tadpole to the gearbox of Dale, but no harm, no foul done, hopefully, as they come into 7 and 8. Was that a little bit of a lock-up that I saw from one of the drivers just behind? It looked like Tadpole nearly had a little bit more contact. A little bit of a wobble there from Dale on the exit of turn number 9. It's a sharp left-hander, so putting on that throttle is a really, really treacherous little exercise there. Coming now down into the strip, we've got CT08, who's really just trying to get as much speed through that corner as possible, chasing Tadpole down for P8, tucking into that slipstream. DRS opens on this lap, I think. Again, I'm still quite new with the
yes,
with
DRS is open.
modern F1 rule set. So it seems, with Wooly to the inside, steams past Ben Mills coming into the final couple of corners of turn 14. Wooly now holding the lead. He's going to want to try and pull away from Ben Mills as much as he can, as we've got this big train of cars all following each other through the last few corners. Wooly setting the fastest lap in that Williams at 32.7, which I believe is about 2 seconds faster than the cars are going in real life, and that is Tadpole to the inside of CT08's Ferrari. The two going side by side through turns 2 and 3. The Tadpole tucking out a little bit behind. We've got a yellow flag as well. I think
Ginka retiring in the pits.
Ginka has retired. Unfortunately for them, there might have been some sort of a hardware issue there. Luke Sawyer now chasing down some of the lads into into the chicane of 7 and 8. It looks like a little bit of a lock-up for one of the Williams drivers, but they managed to keep it going nice and safe. Woolley opening that gap a little bit, about half a second between the two. Liam Sawyer looking for a little bit of a move, just harrying him behind as they're coming down now through turn number 12 onto the strip straight out of sector 2 and into sector 3 they go. Sawyer opening up DRS as much, or I say as much as he can. It's not like he can open it anymore. Opening that DRS and trying to make as much use of it as he can. It would help if I could speak English while I was doing this commentary. Ben Mills swapping positions again with Woolley on that start-finish straight, not start-finish straight, on the strip straight. I really need to get my mind in gear here as Sawyer chasing down the two Williams cars who are swapping positions like people swapping Pokemon cards at a convention as Liam Doherty looks around the outside of Luke Sawyer at turn number 2, manages to make that move really, really decisive from the Aston Martin driver there as he now is trying to chase down the top 2 Williams drivers. Sawyer didn't seem to put up too much of a fight, but he's got that DRS. He's going to try and make any sort of move that he can now coming into turn number 5 and into 6. A lot of our drivers, we've kind of got 2 packs that seem to be separated now. We've got this pack of 6 cars towards the front with Newt just at the tail end, and his tail end also starting to well, he's fishtailing out the corner, is what I'm trying to say. I couldn't put it into great words there, unfortunately. Dale currently leading the pack that is behind at the moment, with Tadpole still chasing down to get any points that they can. Again, I think only the top 8 in a sprint actually get points, not the top 10 as you'd normally see in a race. So really that 8th position is actually super crucial
whilst that is true,
for the championship
in the
fight.
BUSR we do have a different point system which I believe allows for a lot more drivers to get the points. I don't remember how it works, to be honest, but a lot more drivers here will be getting points today than in a regular F1 race as the game would do. I think all the way down to maybe 12th.
That does make it a lot more fun for the drivers at least, because no matter what you get, you still get points. Real life F1 is a lot less forgiving, as we've got this kind of train of 6 cars now coming through the first sector of the track onto that straight, between turn 4 and 5.
Yeah, and these
We've
guys
got
are
Luke
just
Sawyer still chasing
away.
him down. Yeah, I mean, you can just see there is kind of that performance gap. Even on the minimap on the bottom right, you can see, even though it's only about a corner or so ahead of the rest of the pack that they've got, bear in mind there's only about 5 laps into a race.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a very short race. Drivers are just going to do whatever they can to make up positions, take far more risks. That's how sprint races usually go, and probably how they should go. You've got just a few laps to make it all count. Yeah,
and unlike the words of Ice Cube where he says, life ain't a track meet, it's a marathon, this is the opposite of a marathon. It is, in fact, a sprint. So our drivers are really putting their pedal to the metal and trying to really just make any sort of move that they can. It looks like Woolley has managed to take the lead in the sprint race, and it doesn't seem like the two Williams have swapped those positions. There might have been a little bit of in-team communication, because any points that Woolley can get over Chris's, who's currently down in P4, any more points that Woolley can get really just help him to put up more of a fight for that championship. You can also see our drivers getting a couple of positions. Thomas up into P12, up 4 positions from starting, and some of our biggest drivers who've lost positions for a bit further down the grid. But Chrisis really doesn't want to be losing too many positions if he wants to stay in that championship fight. The two Williams are steamrolling through. It looks like Chrisis was a little bit deep coming into the chicane of 7 and 8. See each of the drivers just following each other in that train. Chris is also on hard tyres, which I've just noticed, which could be impeding his performance a little bit, but maybe he's thinking of the wider strategic game, and using them now means he won't have to use them in the race later. At least, maybe. I don't know. I don't know how the tyres work. But Liam Doherty currently chasing down the top two, front-running Williams pair of Woolley and Mills. Currently running down the strip straight. That is, Ben Mills is pulled over to the left-hand side of the track, makes that overtake on Woolley on lap 6 here. The two Williams just changing positions, almost like they're just trying to help each other, try and run away from the rest of the pack, who are still, of course, keeping up, because that's just how the slipstream works. Woolley defended to the inside there for a second against Liam, but Liam couldn't really make much of a move there. And, oh, well, I might have been lying there, because around the outside of turn 4, he looks for an overtake. Can't make it happen, though. That has put Chrysis right on the map, ready to make any sort of move that he can. Liam Doherty switches to the right-hand side of the track, can't make a move, stick just there. That might have just given Chrysis slightly more impetus to try and push to get that move done. Liam looking very, very impatient, and now to the outside of 7 and 8 they go. Barely any room given for the Red Bull on the inside. Now looking for a move around the outside, coming into turn number 9. Very, very little room given, but with a wider exit, Chrysis might get a little bit more speed. The other drivers behind of Sawyer and New maybe having a little bit more of a chance, as the two Williams are actually starting to run away from the rest of the pack because of all this fighting. Chrysis thought he could spot some sort of a move, but it looks like that gap might have opened up. I don't think it'll open up enough to stop the DRS from activating for Liam Doherty, who's currently holding down P3. The two Williams again exchanging positions, but he's got 4 cars right on the back of him. Woolley now moves into first place, using that DRS to his advantage. There's nearly 3 wide coming into turn number 14 for the cars behind him. There's a big crash. There's a crash for Luke Sawyer, who's had a little bit of a moment there, and it looks like he's lost a bit of his wing.
Yeah, lost the front right end plate from the tangle with Newt. Straight into the wall he went. I think he can make it to the end of the race here. He probably won't get the meatball, but further up the front, Chrysis has been struggling a bit. I mean, all that fighting has made him drop some time and probably a lot of valuable tyre wear, as the mediums will now probably be starting to drop off a bit. But Chris's decision to go onto the hards for the race, this is where it would be paying off in these last 2 laps, because you'd expect them to be in their prime right now, but because he lost so much time earlier fighting with was it Liam and Newt?
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll have to see what he's able to do. He is back in the DRS, back in where he was, but he is one of the losers today. He's lost 1 position on the race start, whereas Josh and Ben are quite happy at the front.
Yeah, definitely, as they were, and if they do kind of exchange positions, it is just going to be Woolley on top at the end, because it does seem like they swap positions every lap, using that DRS and the slipstream to their advantage. It looks like I might be wrong on this lap, because Ben Mills stays tucked in behind Woolley, with Doherty and Chrysis currently chasing them down, with Newt just far enough behind to maybe not be too much of a threat to Chrysis, but he's definitely still there as Chrysis looks to the inside of Liam Doherty, tries to get the nose in, and he does. He's alongside coming through turn number 2, and looking now to the outside of 3 coming into 4. The Red Bull is on the left-hand side of that Aston Martin. The 2 have DRS, but it's Chrysis who ultimately manages to get ahead. The Aston Martin looking in his mirrors, trying to make Chrysis get a little bit panicky, but ultimately he holds off quite well and manages to stay in P3, while Liam Doherty loses that position. The top 3 basically just as they were. At least as they were at the start of the race.
Exactly, and you mentioned Ben Mills didn't overtake last lap. Well, this is the final lap here. If he can get the overtake here on the straight, which he looks like he has the pace for, then Josh will not have an answer. This is
Definitely
the
not.
last
There's
chance
no
for an
more
overtake.
chances. This is the final call. All bets are now off, as Ben Mills is going to be chasing down Wooly, and with that DRS and that slipstream to his advantage, Ben Mills rockets back into first place, and through turn 14 they go now. Mills holds on to first place, seemingly not allowing Wooly to... Oh, and he's in the wall! He's in the wall! Wooly is out of the race! What happened there?
He did a cancel!
Ben Mills wins the race. Chris is in second place. Liam Doherty manages to take third. Newton fourth. Sawyer in fifth place. Dale in the Red Bull of that kind of chasing pack behind in sixth. And a lot of these other drivers are just coming through quick and fast. Wooly just able to recover a P9 finish after that massive snap of oversteer. What just happened?
That was crazy. Right at the end, he had one corner to go, and he put it in the wall.
I am speechless. We're watching Alpha, who I very much remember doing a few battles against back in my heyday of driving F1. Unfortunately, I was washed then, and I'm still washed now. But Alpha manages to make his way over the finish line for P13. Ben Mills, the winner of our sprint race. But we've still got another one to go, so don't touch that dial. And even if there was a dial, you wouldn't really be able to touch it anyway, because, you know, it's YouTube.
I mean, yeah, that was crazy at the end there. Completely unexpected. I mean, I'm at a loss for words. We were joking last week. I'm sure you're aware of Cam Searle's incident in Miami. It must have been in the 2023 season.
Very vaguely. So much has happened since then. Unfortunately, I don't remember much.
Well, we were just joking last week with Wooly, saying he just needs to not do a Cam Searle, and there he goes and does it.
Behold,
At least it was in the sprint race, so he doesn't lose as many points as he would have in the main feature race, which we're now heading into the qualifying for in just a few moments. That being said, what's taking so long to get into the qualifying?
Truly an EA moment.
Okay, it looks like we are now heading into the qualifying session. But yeah, that was absolute carnage. But we now must reset and head back out on track for the qualifying for the feature race.
We have got 18 whole minutes of qualifying here, and I believe it's not one-shot qualifying, it's one session qualifying, so drivers only have this session to worry about and complete to set their laps. As we saw in sprint qualifying, this one is going to be a little bit longer because it's qualifying for the main race. So I'm going to say it might be likely we're not going to see any drivers for quite a while, but no, we've already got 3 drivers coming out, and it looks like a couple of them are trying to take that interpole.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if the time that was set during the sprint qualifying will count towards the interpole, because, I mean, completely different sessions. So we'll have to see.
Maybe there is a separate interpole for sprint and for the main race.
Oh, is there?
There might be.
Well, in that case, easy points for Ender Epic in the sprint qualifying. Yeah. But here we have Luke Sawyer and Tadpole out on the inters, trying to set the fastest lap they can on those god-awful tyres. Oh, is the game doing a funny? Because those are also inters. But it's showing up as softs on the timing tower. Hold on. There we go. That refresh fixed it. Okay, so we've got quite a few drivers out on the inters. And yeah, so we've got the two championship contenders, Chris's and Wooly. Wooly will need to completely reset his mental state at the moment. That crash at the end of the sprint race will not have done him any favors. Lost so many points, went from a sure second place, tumbling down to 9th, letting his rival Chris's get P2. Now, every point matters, really, so we'll have to see which one of them can get the best lap. But there are a few drivers out on their actual laps now. We've got GMT UFC, Luke, Sawyer, Thomas, Tadpole setting what I believe is going to be the first Inter's time. Have a look on board with Chris's, however. Probably a more representative time for the Inters. Locking up a little bit, or at least it sounded like. Obviously, these tyres are not suited for a dry track. They will be overheating. They will not provide as much grip, and we probably expect it to be about 5 seconds slower than the softs. However, this track is somewhat forgiving in the fact that it's got such long straights, and it's although the corners are fairly tight, they've got so much room between them that the tires can cool a little. Right, the first few laps have come in now, and it looks like we've got Thomas on pole on the softs. Chris takes the Inter's pole from now. Let's have a look on board with Josh, who's coming down the Las Vegas Strip now. He and I don't think anyone else actually can, so I think he's the only one that could steal the Inter's pole now. Maybe Luke Sawyer, but he is now in the pits, or is in the pits. I don't know if he's come out yet. But Wooly does not get the Inter's pole. So at the moment, it looks like Chris Pilakoris will be getting the Inter's pole, and the extra point that comes with it. It is not Josh Wooly's day today, as he is now going to be coming in to change onto his actual qualifying tyres, which will probably be the softs. Got a few more times coming in here. Liam Doxey taking the pole position provisionally. A 1:31. I'm assuming the track conditions are slightly different to the sprint qualifying, because at the moment we are a little bit slower than the pole position earlier. That being said, Ben Mills set a pretty decent time there, fairly similar to what he had earlier.
Yeah, definitely. And Ben Mills, again, we've seen just how pacey he's been, and just being able to keep up really, really high speeds throughout not only qualifying but also the race, snatching that pole away right at the last second. Yeah, hopefully he can maintain the pole position. Because the yellow flag on the top left, I don't know how much time is actually left in the session. I can only assume there is a car maybe going
still at least
a little bit slow.
Plenty
at least 10
time.
Okay, lots of time for things to get all topsy-turvy, and maybe for our times to tumble a little bit more. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what really to say. I mean, it looks like Ben Mills really isn't having a fantastic lap, as he's seemingly had to back out. 4 seconds off his best time in Sector 2. Going back to CT08 in the Ferrari, who jumps up to 4th position with a 31.366, the exact same time as Alpha 012, which puts him up into P4, only because Alpha set that time first. So really, really
must have
decent
had a
job from
crash
them.
because he is out of the session. He is going to be no better than 15th and probably going to be 16th once Dale sets a time. So not a good start for Ender Epic.
Yeah, and if they can rejoin, hopefully they will. They'll have a bit of a harder time in the race. Again, I'm not sure how the new F1 games handle people who crash getting back into sessions. But yeah, hopefully it'll all go smoothly for them. I know hardware and software failures are never fun, and they're always a real pain to fix, especially when you're in a high pressure situation. So he's got about 9.5 minutes to get everything back together, and yeah, hopefully that will get them back on the track, and they'll be able to set. I don't know if they'll be able to set a qualifying time, but hopefully they'll be able to start off the race.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully they will be in the race later on. But for the time being, we've still got about half a qualifying session to go. So a few drivers coming out for their second laps now. Got Assassin out. Got last year Newt out. Tadpole. Luke Sawyer. Luke Sawyer has always provided us with a surprise time here and there. But I don't think we've seen him win anything yet, so he's going to be hoping that something can change here tonight. I mean, Wooly obviously didn't have a particularly great time in the sprint at the end there. So if Luke can just keep it clean and stay towards the front, he might be in for a shot at the win. But we've seen him fighting with Chris's, and Chris's was having none of it.
Yeah, Luke Sawyer was really putting in a decent challenge earlier in the sprint race, and yeah, he's been really, really solid from what it seems, and hopefully he can put up a bit more of a fight. It seems like he is truly best of the rest. I think when you're not considering the top 3 that are fighting. You know, he's up there, and he's ready for in case anyone makes any sort of mistake. Liam Doherty also seemingly really, really quick out there. He's currently 2nd place in that Aston Martin, as Chris is just trying to generate temperature in those tyres, swerving left and right, as we're now back on with Luke Sawyer, who hasn't set a qualifying lap just yet. So this might be the one, or at least his first valid lap, as he comes through 14 through 16 now, coming now down into turn 17, finishing his lap. Where does this put him? He's up at a 2nd place. That is a banging qualifying lap from Sawyer in the Mercedes. 1 minute 30.707. Provisionally, that's 2nd place for the Mercedes driver. Very, very decent job from him, but our times are probably going to continue to you know, slowly work their way to be faster and faster as the track gets more rubbered in.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got Wooly out on his first dry tyre laps. It will be on the softs, of course, and first actual representative lap from Josh in this session. Got last year Newt going up to 4th there, but still about a second away from what we expect Pulp to be.
Yeah, I mean, the Sauber driver did a really, really decent job there. We're seeing Willie now on the soft tyres absolutely hucking the car through. There's a purple 2nd sector there from Wooly, so it might be a bit of an upset for Ben Mills as we come down into the start-finish straight. Got a very, very slow-moving car there. Wooly doing very well to react to the Mercedes there and avoid them. That might have actually been Sawyer, because looking Sawyer at the... Is it not? Hold on, that's blue. I thought... Oh, it is. Okay. My ears and eyes are both very bad. Coming through the final couple of corners, we've got Wooly flying through now. He set a purple second sector. Let's see where this time puts him. So that's second position. Barely not good enough. But it looks like he might be going for a bit of a cooldown lap before going for it one more time. With Mills currently leading the way by about 0.3 of a second.
Chris is invalidating his lap there, so he has to go out on the softs, on the same set of softs again. He might not have another set. So this is going to get very interesting now, because Chris is going to be needing to get this done on these old tires. It looks like he's still pushing, so yeah, the battery is still low. He is still pushing, so this is going to be his lap. Yeah, and with a battery that's this low, again, you really have to be smart with your energy management in the F1 games. That battery, the hybrid system, really helps drivers out, and I'm sure that down the straight, the battery just absolutely gets drained. So with not as much battery charge as Chris would be hoping for, he'll probably be wanting to try and get that battery charge as high as possible before making his way onto the strip, or maybe just turning it on a little bit later. I don't know how his battery is charging while he's on a straight. I think he's backing off because the speed is not full throttle. Definitely backed off this lap, so he might either be coming in, or that might have been a very high-speed cooldown lap. In either case, he's got about 4 minutes to go. So I don't think he has time to come in. I think he does have to actually do this lap. But that being said, no, he's coming in. Yeah, it looks like he is coming in, which again in BUSR, this rule hasn't changed thankfully since the last time I race. You do have to manually come in to the pits during qualifying. You can't just push a button in your menu as I normally would in when I'm playing the game, because I'm lazy, but it's not realistic. You don't see drivers in real life hitting a button, teleporting back to the pit lane, so Chris is going to have to be very careful with quickly getting a new set of tyres on. I mean, with 3 minutes left to go, a lot of our other drivers are out in the pit lane. Dale and Ginka and Mills also currently on out laps, so they could be looking to do two very quick push laps. You also have to consider that trying to make a car park in that final sector as you're waiting for other drivers ahead of you to go. I think finding that space is going to be very crucial. Even though this is a very long track, it's still very likely that we are going to see some drivers that will kind of cross over each other, because the lap times are only about a minute 30 around here, which compared to some other F1 circuits is actually relatively average, I'd say. Looking at that 90-second lap time, Ben Mills currently pushing quite hard, coming through into turn 5 through 6 they go, and 7 and 8. Again, the braking zone coming out of turn 6 immediately into a very hard left-hander. It is very awkward to get right, especially if you're not working with ABS, which I'm assuming a lot of our drivers are probably not using, as well as not using traction control, because these assists slow you down, and they're not realistic because the drivers in real life don't have them. A little bit wobbly on the exit there of turn number 12 for Ben Mills, who's currently just trying to absolutely send it. You can see how much he's hugging that wall on the left-hand side to try and minimise the distance he's driving on the track. Pulling out the right, ready for the braking zone of turn number 14. Looks like he went a little bit wide there. You do probably want to avoid that sausage curb on the inside, because it probably can unsettle the car. And he's bailed. He's in the pit lane. He must have been down after that turn 14-15.
Yeah, I mean, it's a relatively large mistake to make. Hold on, wait, why is his name grayed out? Has he had an issue?
I think it's he might have just retired from the session once he pulled into the pits.
that could make sense. It'd explain the yellow flag that's out there. But it looks like, yeah, Ben Mills is finished with the session for now. We're currently on board now with Luke Sawyer. Through turn 7 and 8 they go. The Sphere looking on with great curiosity as the Mercedes driver is making their way through one of the faster corner, or some of the faster corners on the track. Turn 10 and 11. We've got that's Dale currently coming through the last corner. They have invalidated their lap, so they're going to have one more shot at making that work. Chris is currently last. Just starting his lap, currently coming out of turn 4 and through towards turn 5 they go now. Luke Sawyer, one of our highest placed drivers, about to finish a lap. We've got Newt currently now coming through into turn 17 they go. Where can they put themselves for qualifying? They've made their way up into 4th place with a 30.7. Currently now on board with Thomas as Liam Doherty goes into 2nd. Luke Sawyer immediately takes it off them with a 1 minute 30.396. Not enough to unthrone Ben Mills, but Woolley manages to dethrone him with a 1 minute 30.2. So a really, really good job from him to steal that pole position away. CTO8 takes P6, currently with a 31.2. Ginka backs out at the last second, and that's them down in P10. Alpha now looking for any sort of qualifying, or a really decent qualifying effort here. Through the final corner they go. That's P7 with a 31.5. El Cone in 6th place. Assassin in P11. As we've got Tadpole manages to make their way up in P8 with a 31.1. Chrysis, comes through the final corner now. Clouts the wall on the inside, gets into 2nd place with another 1 minute 30.2. So he's starting alongside Woolley for the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Chris is in 2nd place, so our championship contenders will be starting on the same row as we come into the main event here at round 6 of the BUSR series.
Absolutely.
BSR F1 Winter Series, sorry.
Yes, so the gap, only 17 milliseconds between these two championship contenders, with only 3 races to go now. Will this be the deciding race? Will this be a race to forget for one of them? We'll have to find out. But first, before we head over, a word from our sponsors over at GridFinder. Well, there we go. Thank you, GridFinder, for sponsoring this event. And if you'd like to join into one of these races, head over to busr.gg/Discord, or go over to GridFinder and find another league. There's plenty of great stuff there. But over at the BUSR, we have got Formula 1, iRacing, and Assetto Corsa. But back to the action. Guys, the incredible has happened. It's raining. Just like in real life.
It's raining.
It's going to be a wet start to the race. We don't know how long it's going to continue for, but at the moment it's looking quite heavy. And here we go. Take it away, Frey.
We are here for the for the full race here at the at Las Vegas. It's lights out and away we go. Woolley alongside Chrysis as we are coming now into the first corner. It is wet. Chrysis manages to make that move, but it looks like it's going a little bit wide, and we had a staller off the line. It looks like a lot of the drivers are kicking up spray with their wet tyres, but we have got the Red Bull of Chrysis currently in 1st place, overtaken Woolley at the start, and DRS might not be as much of a deciding factor in the race here, as we've got one of the Mercedes Mercedes drivers. I believe that's Luke Sawyer looking around the outside of Wooly, trying to make his day a little bit worse. We've got Ben Mills also looking to try and make some sort of move. I think the game is freaking out a little bit because the timing tower is definitely wrong. There we are. Now it's fixed itself. Excellent. Love that. Ben Mills is has overtaken Wooly, so Wooly's lost 2 positions off the start of the race. Don't know why there's a blue flag, but we'll just ignore it for now. Liam Doherty is currently trying to chase down the Sauber of Newt, coming through the fast sweepers of 10 and 11, and with the Parc Fermé rules in place, I think the setup that the drivers have taken will have to be in big consideration. There's a spin, there's a crash. Is that Wooly again? Wooly's had another crash. Wooly's in 7th place, now down into 8th.
He's got a broken front wing.
He's in 2nd. That's a broken front wing for Wooly. This is what Chris could have been hoping for. He might not have liked Las Vegas before, but man, are the odds ever in his favour here at the home of one of the cultural hotspots of America. Wooly again having another issue and into the wall. 2nd time this weekend. Chris could not have bet any more on that. But he's currently leading the way. He's done a fantastic job off the line. Wooly, heartbreak for the Williams driver. I think that poor joke that I made earlier has probably ruined his chances in this race. You can see just how much he's struggling with that lack of front end downforce. The front right end plate, I mean, completely off, and it looks like a portion of his wing. Yeah, it does look like it is substantially damaged, so especially in this wet weather, having that downforce is really, really going to help. Newt is currently up into 4th place, with Sawyer holding down that final spot on the podium. Assassin as well, gaining 4 positions off the start, and Dale up into P10 from the start, with gaining 5 positions. El Cone seemingly has lost quite a lot.
Yeah, he was the one to stall on the start line. I don't know what happened there for him, but just on the start line for like 10 seconds. Not a great start for El Cone there. However, his teammate Ender Epic fared a bit better, gaining 2 positions so far in the race.
Yeah, I mean, this is... who
has also lost his front right end plate.
I mean... Yeah, a lot of our drivers are going to have to make big gambles here, as Ben Mills and Sawyer now going alongside down the strip. Mills has made his way right back past, trying to keep him front into turn number 14 they go. Newt and Doherty currently alongside each other. Newt manages to hold off the one of the Aston Martins just behind, but Thomas is now going to be trying to chase down to get Liam Doherty back in his sights, with Newt holding down P4. Chris is only getting faster and faster. The Cypriot seemingly to be really favouring this wet weather, even if maybe he did not favour the track.
Yeah, the race appears to be settling down now. DRS is obviously disabled thanks to the rainy conditions. It is unclear how long the rain will be out for, and it doesn't look like there's really a dry line forming. It all looks about the same for me, and the drivers are all equally struggling here, so I think we're going to have a long, hard race on our hands here, guys. And, I mean, Frey, you've raced in the F1 before. Do you have any idea how difficult it may be in Las Vegas with the wet?
So, I've never raced Vegas much, and with F1 25, I only just got the game because it was on sale, so I've never actually had a chance to drive it. But from my previous experience, I drove with a lot of assists because, quite frankly, F1 is not my strongest wheelhouse. You know, I drove to a point where I felt comfortable, and I never played it on a wheel. So a lot of our drivers probably are playing without the assists and are on a wheel. So, you know, you've got that more fine input of having that wheel and pedals in front of you, having that real physical interaction, as opposed to, you know, just twiddling your fingers with a controller, like what I used to do. But yeah, these drivers are going to be finding it really, really hard, especially if they weren't expecting the rain. I feel like a lot of our drivers have set their cars up relatively low downforce, ready for a dry race. But it looks like we have actually got a little bit of rain just to spice things up a little bit. But it does seem like, I mean, at least from what I can see, the rain's dying down. The racing action isn't, as Sawyer looks to the inside of Ben Mills, coming down into turn number 5. That's Sawyer in the Mercedes up into second place as Chrisis is continuing to open up that gap at the front. It's now sitting around 3 seconds as our drivers come down into 7 and 8, just going past the sphere, which does actually look like it is looking at the drivers. And wow, yeah, this is, again, it is such a spectacle of Vegas. Not only F1, you know, the pinnacle of motorsport, but Vegas, the pinnacle of expensive, which is definitely shown in the ticket prices, which I believe the average ticket price for Vegas this year is around $1,000, making it the most expensive race on the Formula One calendar. If you want to compare that to the cheapest race on the F1 calendar, you could buy 5 tickets to the Chinese Grand Prix, or you could buy roughly 3 tickets to the Japanese Grand Prix and still have enough money for a little bit of food.
I mean, us Brits thinking here that Silverstone is getting more and more expensive every year, but $1,000 for a ticket to the Vegas Grand Prix is absolutely insane.
Yeah, I mean, Britain is also up there in terms of how expensive it is. I think the average price this year was around $600 for a Silverstone ticket, which
twice
is
as much as I thought it was.
Pretty out. Well, this is an article that I've seen for average ticket prices. So I do not know that much. This is just according to F1 destinations, so I'm not sure if that is exactly accurate. But that is the data that I have at hand. El Cohn currently chasing down his teammate Ender Epic as Alpha pulls to the left-hand side. Ender Epic looking to the inside into turn number 5. The nearly all blacked out McLaren makes that move, and it looks like El Cohn's managed to get through as well, using that gap that opened up to just slide his way on through. Very, very well executed overtake there by El Cohn, and Alpha unfortunately losing 2 positions in just 1 corner.
Yeah, the lack of a right end plate there. It seems a lot of drivers are missing their right end plates today, but his downforce is going to be heavily compromised here, and as you mentioned, the Parc Fermé rules obviously going to have a low downforce setup here due to the nature of this track, and adding the rain, it's going to make this very challenging.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of our drivers, yeah, as you said, missing that front end plate, so they must be getting really, really close to some of these walls, and probably a little bit too close on some occasions. But I guess that's just the price you have to pay when you're really just putting everything on the line. Woolley is making his way back up through the grid. He's currently 7th place, about 2 tenths behind Thomas. We've got Assassin in the Alpine, just behind the RB of Tadpole. Chasing him down, trying to get in his mirrors. He's looking left, looking right, coming into some of the corners on the exit of turn number 2. He looks to try and get a bit of a narrower exit, trying to make anything happen here as he's now using that slipstream. Tadpole pulls to the inside, coming into turn number 5. To the outside goes Assassin, braking somewhat early, looking at maybe getting a bit of a cutback on the exit. Coming into turn number 6 they go now. Tadpole still holds in front, but Assassin is making it very, very clear to the Racing Bull that this is going to be no easy feat, no easy task for Tadpole in the RB. Assassin currently still chasing down about half a second behind Tadpole in that RB. You can just see how much our drivers are really struggling a little bit coming through turn 11. They're going quite wide. A little bit of a wobble from Thomas there. Currently P6 in the Aston Martin, being chased down by Woolley. Now coming down onto the strip straight. Woolley making his way through. It looks like he might be alongside, and he's past Thomas now. as we come down into turn 14. It looked like Tadpole was even going to try and make a little bit of a move on Thomas there, but nothing really came of it. Thomas looked like maybe even had not Thomas, Tadpole looked like had a bit of a contact with the wall of the exit of turn 16. Wooly now up into 6th place, still being pressured by that Aston Martin behind, but nothing coming of it just yet. A little bit of contact seemingly between the two. The Aston Martin getting a little bit of oversteer through turn number 2, as through 4 they go now, with he's still being chased down currently by Tadpole in that RB. Looks to the inside again. You can see a lot of some of the strategies of these drivers are kind of similar. The one that we're seeing Tadpole executing is one of my favourites, of just getting in the mirror of the other drivers ahead and just trying to get in their head, trying to make them worry. And it looks like Tadpole does keep having a few little slides, drifting a little bit wide, hitting a couple of the walls, and I mean, he's gotten off very, very lucky so far. But he better not put all of his chips on being able to make it through the race. You can see just how much he's struggling to make it through some of these fast sweepers. He's experiencing a lot of understeer. I think, again, that low downforce setup that a lot of our drivers are probably using, definitely going to be a key point of contention coming into this race, with Tadpole chasing down Thomas. And it looks like the track might be getting drier. I can't tell if that's just F125's graphics being weird, or if we are starting to get a little bit less rain. He's looking at the inside now into turn number 14. The RB, big lock up there as the two go side by side. Thomas just manages to keep ahead, but Tadpole is really, really trying to apply that pressure. He's lucky he hasn't got anything else happening there, as Assassin goes right on the inside, makes it right back past as Wooly has retired. Wooly is out of the race completely. What's happened there?
I do not know what's happened there. Maybe we can get him in for a quick little chat if he's up for it. But that is massive for the championship fight. Wooly basically giving it away now.
Maybe he thinks this is kind of an eye for an eye, with Chris not being there in the last round, scoring nil points, and now scoring roughly the same this round. Except instead of no points, it's some points. As we can see, Dale and Tadpole going wheel to wheel, coming through some of these fast sweepers. Dale really just trying to make any sort of move they can. Through 11 they go. Not really much room for the RB on the outside there. Ooh, a little bit of contact between the two as Dale tucks in back behind him. I think that might have been a bit of a strategic decision there from the Red Bull driver, because on this really long straight, with the amount of slipstream that you get, you've really not got much of a choice when it comes to whether you get overtaken or not, short of, breaking the rules. Chris sets another one of the fastest laps, but Tadpole manages to just about hold on, a little bit wide on the exit of 14, with Dale still chasing them down, just behind the gap, around 0.4 of a second, as Tadpole now comes into the pit lane. He might be either making another swap onto Inters, or he could be making a pretty big gamble here, for dry tyres if the weather
I think it's still far too wet. It's raining so hard. Yeah, it's another set of Inters there. I wonder why. I
can't really see it. I can't tell if F125 just doesn't portray the rain as well on my end, but it looks like... Wait, did that say Dale has left the session as well?
Yes, it
That's
did,
weird.
but Dale is still out, so he's probably just... got AI driving for him at the moment, but you can just see how the rear steps out as they head into that corner turn. What is it, 6 or 7? I don't know.
Yeah, 6 is the kind of left-hander that leads into 7 and 8. It's a really, really tricky braking zone to get right, because you're still turning and you have to brake for this next corner, so it is very, very difficult to try and get right. So we've got Dale still kind of leading the way. The Ferrari of CT08 pulls off to one side and is now trying to get that slipstream of Dale. Now looking to the right-hand side, keeping it full throttle. The Ferrari with the little blue splashes, just trying to hold him to the inside, moving back to the racing line, swooping back across. Up at P8 goes the Ferrari of CT08. Fantastic move from them. Puts themselves up at P8. Alcone chasing down Dale now for P9.
Yeah, some good racing happening here. The wet weather really brings out the best drivers, and I mean, we can see our best drivers at the front here. We've got Chris's leading comfortably by about 3 seconds. Was that a little tap on the wall? Definitely sliding through that corner there on the entry. Luke Sawyer sliding on that exit, and Ben Mills, yeah, also similar stuff. I think maybe the Inters are just overheating a bit. The rain might not be strong enough to cool them down enough, so that's probably why we saw the pit stops coming in already. Is to put on some new Inters just to prevent them from overheating too much.
Yeah, that might be why. I mean, again, on my end, I don't know, it doesn't look like it's raining that heavily. That might be why the Ferrari pulled off to one side, to try and pick up some of that standing water to just keep the tyres cooled down.
As well.
So we might be in a really, really awkward midpoint where it's raining just enough for dry tyres to not be as usable, but not enough for the intermediates to properly be in their kind of optimum window. As Thomas now chases down Assassin with El Cone just behind the Ferrari, who goes a little bit wide on the exit of turn 14. And it looks like he is going to try and make some sort of move now coming into turn 17. The McLaren looks to the inside, and that's not to try and pit through 17. They go, and they're side by side. Nearly a bit of contact between the two. No harm, no foul, as El Cone is now to the inside of 1 and 2. Looks a little bit slidey from the McLaren, but he's just about able to get it ahead. That was a real bit of argy-bargy there, but he manages to make his way up at a P8. Brilliant racing here. CT08 and the Ferrari is going to try and get any sort of comeback that they can, but that was a really, really decisive, clever move from El Cone up the inside, elbows out, no holds barred here, as he's really he made a pretty big gamble there at the corner, and he's made his way up into 8th position.
Well, we have some news from Josh Woolley. He will not be joining us for the interview. It looks like he is currently recovering from a little bit of food poisoning, so he retired himself there. Probably a wise decision, but not looking very good for his championship.
Which is completely understandable. You know, it is hard to focus when things are happening. You know, and I think it does come down to a decision of whether or not you know, you want to prioritise the race over your own health, and I think Woolley making probably the wiser decision. I have done a couple of races before where I've really not been feeling too good, and really paid the price afterwards. So, you know, I think Woolley very, very wise there. Sure, maybe not great for his championship, but I think all things considered, if he can come into the next round feeling a little bit better, giving himself a little bit more time to recover, you know, we might be seeing Woolley making a really big charge back in the last couple of rounds. CT08 now into the pit lane, and he does look really, really squirrely on those intermediate tyres. They're 12 laps old, and he is making a pit stop. I believe that is a fresh set of Inters going on to that Ferrari, and a fresh front wing as well, which might be why he was having a few of those wobbles on the exit of those corners.
Yeah, that would explain a lot. Hopefully he can now come back out and give it a good charge to the end of the race. We are almost halfway through the race now, and so far only a few people have pitted. I'm expecting for there to be at least one pit stop for most of the drivers, which, if I was to take a gander, I'd say will be coming in about now, unless the weather is expected to get dry. We cannot see that, but the drivers can see up to about 30 minutes ahead in the race. They can see, I believe, what is it, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and 30 minutes ahead, something like that. So they will know what they want to strategize, but for me, it looks like the rain is about as intense as it was at the start. I don't know how it looks like for you, Frey, but I would say that this is going to be a full wet race, as now Chris Spilakouras comes in for a fresh set of rubber.
I mean, for me, I don't know. On my end, it doesn't even look like it's raining. But I mean, for me, F1's always been really weird when it came to rain, because it never. I don't think it looks as bad on a recording as it maybe does when you're in game. I mean, on here you can still see a little bit, a few raindrops on the camera, and you can see on the halo as well the rain kind of streaking across it. But when you are in those third-person cams, it is very, very hard to tell kind of what the drivers are experiencing. I feel like there's definitely something up with them. Sawyer again showing just how difficult that the braking zone for 7 and 8 is, because you are still turning while you're having to brake, so really it is having to be super gentle on the brakes to not lock up the fronts coming into the corner, but you still have to be hard enough to get the car slowed down. So hopefully he can make his way through. You can see a little bit of counter steer on the exit of 12, really clouting that inside, and it looked like that was that a purple middle sector that I saw from Sawyer there. Really good job from him.
Yeah, so that he might be able to bring the fight on to Chris's here. He is just slightly out of the DRS range though, but he's been keeping up more or less, as we've got Liam Doxty coming in for some fresh rubber as well. Oh, was that speeding in the pit lane, I wonder? Bit of a lock up there on the entry. We'll find out once he comes out of the pit lane.
Yeah, Ben Mills also in the pits. A lot of our front runners coming in. It looks like Chrysalis has now made his way into first place, and I think he's made a really decent undercut maneuver there alongside Sawyer. They've both jumped a little bit further ahead. The gap between Sawyer and Mills now about 5 seconds. So I think that undercut strategy really has helped, as Thomas and Dale now in the pit lane changing their tyres over. And yeah, Chrysis and Sawyer did have that 1 lap undercut, and I think going on those fresh inters a little bit earlier saved them that time, at least now. And El Cone seemingly has had a retirement. I think he pulled into the pit lane to retire there, so really is becoming a bit of a race of attrition here.
Yeah, I think most of the drivers don't actually like Las Vegas. At least that's the impression I got from having a quick chat with them like some weeks ago. But some other drivers absolutely love it, and I think it might be showing. I mean, we've got our usual top 4 so far this season. Got Chris's towards the front, Luke Sawyer, Ben Mills, and Liam Doxty fighting out for the remaining podium positions. So maybe even if they don't like it, but like they at least probably are willing to put in the effort to really practice it as much as I can. And I was about to say I don't see any rain, but there is still rain. For a second on that camera angle, it looked like it stopped raining. Maybe it was just under the bridge.
Yeah, I perhaps. I mean, for me. I mean, I don't have the best eyesight, so I don't really see the rain in these cameras. I think if you squint really hard, you can see it a little bit. But I think with the amount of movement and the way that the game visualizes I don't know. All this to say, I don't think it captures just how bad the drivers are experiencing the rain very well. And it looks like the Sauber went a little bit wide through the corner, nearly clouting the barrier at the exit of turn 4 there. I think just managed to keep it out, no harm done. Still has his end plate, and it doesn't look like he's got any damage anywhere else. So definitely just banging the wheels there. Newton P5 trying to chase down Doherty, who's currently in P4. And I will say this track is very fun to watch. In terms of actually driving it, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I have worse tracks at the very least. Newt currently holding just about 7/10 back from Liam Doherty, and again we still have no DRS because that rain is definitely still coming down. As much as maybe the cameras don't show it, and we've got about 11 laps to go, with Chris is still holding first place. Luke Sawyer chasing down about half a second behind, and I don't know if he's actually won any races this season, but it'd be nice if he can chase it down. Betting on the underdog will give you really, really good returns. I'm trying to make as many gambling references as I can for this race, and I don't know if they're paying off.
Well, I don't think Luke has won a race yet, so this will be really good for him and his championship standings if he can do this, especially considering that I wanted to say that Luke is currently third in the championship, so he might be bringing the fight in for second place.
Yeah, definitely. And Wooly, we have seen him he had that issue earlier on with retiring from the race. Again, the whole food poisoning thing. The wise decision, but this will probably put Sawyer back in a really decent position. It looks like Ender has gone into the pit lane again to get some new tyres, which I don't know if the Inters are dying out that quickly. But yeah, I mean, the rain is always a difficult thing to try and navigate in any sort of series. In GT, at least, you do have quite a large window of where wet and dry tires perform quite similarly, just depending on how you drive. And I'm sure F1 is very, very similar as well, where you can really make them last a while. Yeah, I mean, these are some of the fastest cars in the world and some of the fastest drivers across various UK universities. And with Sawyer now chasing down Chrisis in first place, we could have a really decent fight for the lead as we approach the final 8 laps of this Grand Prix. That's going to be about 15 minutes left of this race.
Yeah, so in the closing stages now, or approaching those closing stages, the race seems fairly settled, but we still have these two fights. We've got the fight for P2 and what looks to be a fight for P4 over here between Liam Doherty and Last Gen Newt. Now, I have a feeling that P3 is pretty consolidated now, with Ben Mills quite comfortable and running in some nice open air.
Yeah, having that clean air is really, really helpful. I mean, Las Vegas, you've got a lot of straights where maybe having that slipstream would be helpful, but considering that, using that downforce is, a necessity here, especially with a lot of our drivers probably running quite low downforce setups, I think having as much of that aerodynamic grip as possible will be incredibly helpful. So not having a car to follow might give Mills just a little bit of extra oomph as he continues to drive through this Grand Prix, and Doherty might also have a little bit of that since he doesn't have a car ahead of him for another 7 seconds. So as he's approaching the corner, as he's approaching turn 14, Mills has already gone through the corner and he's on that back straight as he's being chased down by the Sauber of Newt, the striking lime green, getting all up at his mirrors. Mills now sets the fastest lap of the race with a 39.8. So maybe the track is starting to improve, or Mills is just getting the most out of that clean air.
It's entirely possible that just the reduced fuel load towards the end of the race, relatively fresh rubber, and an evolved track has allowed him to, just find a few tenths there over the previous fastest lap, which I believe was Chris's, but I'm probably wrong on that.
No, I believe it was Chris's who held the fastest lap. He was one-upping himself every single lap, I think, as he was as he was driving at the start of the race, and kind of just started to get things in a decent holding pattern. And now Ben Mills has snatched that fastest lap away from him, so that is going to be an extra point towards his championship standings. If I am correct in that we're still counting fastest lap for the point.
I believe so.
Fantastic. And Newt is still chasing Doherty down, coming down into P, not P, T, different letter. Turn 12, down onto the strip straight, with Newt just about 6/10 behind, trying to use that slipstream. I'm not sure what the magic number is in terms of the gap behind. It looks like there's a yellow flag. I think there's a Red Bull that's crashed down at the start of the finish straight. That might be Dale, I think, who'd had an issue at the start finish. Or was that Tadpole? I couldn't really tell. There's a yellow flag there anyway. Yeah, that's really strange. Hard to tell, but we're going back to this fight. Newt is now about 3/10 behind Liam Doherty, who's currently holding 4th place down, but maybe not for long if Newt has his way with things, as they're now approaching the kind of back straight. Lap 19, Newt in the Sauber, about 5/10 the gap, trying to use that slipstream as much as possible, just about keeping himself behind. DRS again not opening because it's still wet out there. Coming through turn number 6 they go again. It's a very, very tricky braking zone. Drivers are very, very prone to mistake through there, and using those curbs as well, they're probably quite greasy and slippery, so drivers doing a really, really good job just to keep the cars pointing the correct direction as they come through. They're very, very tricky. 7, 8 and 9 through 10 and 11 they go now. These are where the drivers are probably going to be experiencing the most understeer if they haven't got a very low downforce setup. And you can just see how much time Newt loses through those couple of corners. Maybe Doherty using slightly more downforce on his setup, which could be why we're seeing Newt also gaining on the straights. You can see that gap just coming down so fast, 7, 6, 5/10 of a second as they barrel their way towards turn 14. Newt just trying to make himself known in the mirrors of Doherty. About a quarter of a second between the two as they come through the final twisty section of the track. Newt just really trying to hound Doherty for that position. The gap at the front is relatively stable, with Sawyer about 7 to 8/10 behind Chrysis. But the Sauber is really just trying to hound that Aston Martin, just trying to pile on that pressure, trying to get him to make any sort of mistake that he can. Coming through into turn number 5 they go, on board with Newt now. Really just, you can see the rain is definitely still coming down, as Newt is just holding on, trying to get that 4th position. Through they go. And I've also realised the sponsor stickers on the helmet. I don't think the previous F1 games let you do that. I'm so new to F1 25. I've got no idea how any of it works. I'm very excited to see the future of the F1 games as well, with no F1 26 being officially announced, and the 2026 lineup just being an expansion built on F1 25 with a brand new, revolutionized, in EA's words, game coming out for the 2027 season. And I think that'll really spice some things up in the world of F1 esports, as Newt still chasing down Doherty to try and get that P4 position.
Yeah, I think the magic number is going to be about 3.5 down that Las Vegas strip to be able to make an overtake without DRS being enabled. And the approach to that is, well, you lose a lot of time on the approach to that straight. So it's going to be quite tricky here for Newt, because you want to follow as close to the car in front as possible, but then you lose so much time because of the dirty air. And without the DRS, it's very hard to make that overtake.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the rain being just as seemingly just as heavy as it was at the start of the race, Our drivers are really going to be having a tough time of it, with Newt needing to basically push Doherty through the twisty 10 and 11 to try and make any sort of move on that strip straight, or try to make any sort of move at all.
But we do have a move further back down. CT08 and Tadpole switching positions down the first DRS zone, whichever straight name that has.
Between 4 and 5. I don't think any of the corners have names on this track, since it is still quite new, but it looked like CT08 maybe just making use of their slightly fresher rubber, as Chris is still holding down P1. Sawyer still in the back of him, the gap around 6/10 of a second, so Sawyer's not letting up anytime soon, but Chris is really just not blinking. We've only got about 4 laps left of this race. It's about another 6 or so minutes left to go of this race, so keep your eyes glued to this screen as we are bringing you the best action, with Newt currently down in P5. I mean, the gap is hovering relatively steady, around 0.2 of a second there between the two, but Sawyer still putting that challenge on for that top position. Chris, even though he might have said he doesn't really like this track, he's looking very, very comfortable out there, leading the way right at the front of the field, even with that Mercedes absolutely chasing him down just behind, about 7/10. Chris is leading the way with Luke Sawyer behind, and Ben Mills very comfortably in P3.
Yeah, Ben Mills, he's been gaining a little bit of time onto Chris and Luke here as they've been battling, but probably not going to be able to gain enough time to really even consider having a look into the battle. But at the same time, being able to just drive in the clean air will be making it so much nicer for him, I'm sure. Further back, though, we've got Liam Doherty and Newt still battling it out. Haven't really been able to look for any moves here yet. So, with only a few laps to go, Newt might be starting to get a bit desperate. Now switching back to the front here, Luke a little bit slidey through turn 1 there, and turn 2, and just trying to keep on the back of Chris's. Looks like there was a position change further down. I didn't see who that was, unfortunately, but something happened. But let's have a look on board with Luke. Have a look at that steering wheel. Having to make ever so slight corrections every now and then, midway through the corners, and he's not going to be close enough, I don't think, down the main straight to be able to consider having a look. That rear looks like it almost slid out from underneath him. A little bit of oversteer there. And 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Not an ideal race for him. And yeah, Luke Sawyer definitely too far back to even consider making the move, with another 2 laps to go after this. Have a look with last gen Newt, though. It's a very similar position as Luke Sawyer was in, just slightly too far back with no DRS. The slipstream on its own isn't really enough, especially in these weather conditions and how difficult it is to stay glued onto the car in front throughout the rest of the track. But yeah, we did not see Tadpole's pit entry there, but obviously he sped at some point, and oh, very squarely through turn 8 or 9 on the exit there for Tadpole. New set of tyres there.
Right, we
Ooh.
have... Ooh, what happened there?
Tadpole is struggling a bit, it seems.
Yeah, they've dropped down pretty significantly. I think those tyres are starting to give way.
Just pitted.
I
He's on new tyres now, and he
was on
got
new
himself a 10-second
tyres.
penalty in the
Ouch.
pits.
Yeah, with only 2 laps left to go, there's not really a lot of time to serve a penalty like that, so that's just going to get added on. But I mean, I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference to their overall position there. Unfortunate for them. Newt's still behind Liam Doherty with Sawyer still about 7/10 behind Chrysis, leading the way. Newt again trying to make that move. I was trying to get close enough to Doherty to try and make the move, but it doesn't look like that is happening. I mean, we're coming into the final lap of the Grand Prix. Chris is still leading the way, about 0.6 of a second gap between the Mercedes driver chasing down that lead car, the leading Red Bull of Chrysis, who is... I mean, he's been absolutely dominant all weekend, and he's just been holding down the fort really well. While he might not enjoy the Las Vegas track, I mean, it certainly doesn't look like it, because he is performing very, very well out there. You can see just how much time he's gaining through some of these corners as well, with Chrysis still holding the fort down well through turn number 9. Again, in the twisty section of turns 10 and 11, it looks like we have had a yellow flag somewhere? No? Okay, never mind. Ignore me, I don't know what I'm saying.
Somewhere, is it Ender Epic?
I have no idea, but regardless, we've got Chrysis currently in the lead, and he is going to be working his way around the final couple of corners now. He's coming down onto the back straight as Dale's getting his front wing changed. Through the last couple of corners they go now. Chris is still leading the way, making that charge through the final corner. Goes the Cypriot, making his way across the finish line to win the feature race in the Las Vegas Grand Prix BUSR Winter Series. Luke Sawyer about 1.5 seconds behind, with Ben Mills quietly finishing his way in P3, just about 3.5 seconds back. Liam Doherty manages to hold off Newt to hold on to P4, with again Newt chasing just behind. And behind him there's a relatively sizable gap of about 22 seconds to Assassin in the Alpine, who's now making his way out of turn number 16 and down onto the back straight. Again, a little bit further down the grid, the gaps have opened up significantly due to the very, very difficult nature of this race. Those parc fermé conditions really, really not helping our drivers out that much. So those low downforce setups will be definitely hurting some of the drivers who were maybe not expecting it to rain, which, honestly, I don't blame them. Because the last thing I think of when I think of Las Vegas is rain. Thomas finishes P7, CT08 in the Ferrari in 8th. Alpha finishing 9th in the RB, with GMT LFC currently in P10, currently exiting turn 16. Ender Epic and Dale have seemingly exchanged positions, and with their respective penalties, it looks like it'll be Ender Epic just in front of Dale, with the gap just over 3 seconds. So Epic now making their way through into the final corner. Oh, wait. What's just happened? Has he run out of fuel or something? I don't know what's happened there.
I don't know.
Dale makes his way past into 11th place regardless. And that is Chrysis leading the way, finishing first, and winning the Las Vegas Grand Prix.
That was a solid performance there from Chrysis, leading basically from turn 1 to the end. And, I mean, with Josh out of the picture this race, he extends his lead in the championship by a sizable amount. With only 2 races to go, I mean, it's going to be a tough challenge to come back for Josh now.
Yeah, definitely. But I think this is just going to add more spice as we come into the last couple of rounds of the season. This is the business end. This is where every single point, every paying position really, really matters. We've got, Chris is currently leading the way here in terms of points. Getting 32 over the weekend in game. I'm sure our point system is a little bit different, but
Quite
second in the sprint race and managing to win in the overall race with can't see if fastest lap is counted for. I don't see it anywhere. Ben Mills in second place in terms of the points. He managed to finish really, really decent position as well. So yeah, that was one hell of a race.
Okay, so we've got a request for Chris's to go first. Maybe they have a time constraint, so let's go with Chris's. Yeah, okay, so hello, Chris, as well. Firstly, congratulations on your race win here. We'll try to keep this short. So, tell us how your sprints and your race went.
Hello everyone. I thought I wasn't really on the pace as other weekends. I was a bit on the back foot, but I tried something different for the sprint with the hards. I don't think it was the right choice, but at the end we salvaged the P2, which is fine. And in the race, I saw the wets on quality, and I was very skeptical about the pace, but it turned out to be all right. I did bottle pole as I did go wide on the final corner, but still P2 was a good position to start, and I got first place after the first corner. And after Josh also made his mistake, which is my main championship rival, I kind of went to a more relaxed mode and get into my rhythm. But on that second stint, fair play to Luke, because he was keeping me on my toes. Like, he was rapid. I honestly thought he was quicker than me, to be honest. But thankfully, I could just about keep it and going straight, because the last 2 laps I was on puncture territory. So all in all, a very good weekend and a very good step towards the championship now with Josh retiring.
Yeah, absolutely. Big point haul for you. We'll try to keep this short for you since you do need to go. So only one more question then, real quick. Next weekend is Singapore. How do you feel about that?
I'm very confident with Singapore. I'm honestly ending the calendar with one of my favorite tracks back on Singapore. So, I mean, quality's gonna be crucial there as it's difficult to overtake. So, yeah, I'll try to minimize the mistakes as I did a lot of mistakes today. So, but yeah, just mainly about keeping it clean. Now, I just don't need to, DNF. I just need to get some solid points, even if it's just like a P5 or a P4. But obviously, I'll try to go for the win again.
Well, best of luck, and thank you for coming to talk to us.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Good night.
Right. So we've only got 2 more people left to talk to now. Who shall we speak to first then, since we had to go with Chris's first?
I think we should talk to Luke next. He was really pressuring Chris's through that final race. So, Luke, welcome into the commentary box, and excellent job in that race. How was it driving in those conditions, chasing down the leader of the race?
It was good. I enjoyed it. I wasn't expecting to be so quick on the inters, I'll be entirely honest, because I haven't practiced it whatsoever. I was expecting it to be a dry race, and then obviously as it loaded into the session, I saw it. It felt good. I'm really happy with it. It's probably the best race I've done so far in BUSR. I'm just annoyed that I didn't get a chance to actually fight Chris's properly because my battery management was awful.
And, I mean, it's a pretty good point haul for you here. I'm not sure where you are in the current championship standings, but with Josh Woolley retiring today and not getting many points in the sprint race, how are you feeling about your chances at maybe getting P2 or P3 in the championship?
I feel better about it. I'll be honest, I'm not looking at a title picture in the slightest. I'm just here to have a bit of fun. But gaining on Josh big time like that because of obviously him feeling rough is good. Bit of a shame that it has to end that way. So I feel for Josh, but it happens. That's racing. I think the big one, apart from Chris, is obviously because he's just off in the distance, is New. I reckon he's the real threat for P2 because he hasn't won a race yet, but he's there all the time. I think his worst finish is 5th. So the consistency, he's just still there. He's like a little pest. But either way, whether I have a good championship position or not, I've come here not expecting, but wanting to achieve a pole. I've done that. A podium. I've done that. A win. Maybe. I'll be honest. That was probably my best chance given the rest of the calendar, but you never know.
Well, you mentioned the calendar next weekend. You've got Singapore. How do you feel about Singapore? Do you think you might be able to fight for a win, or is that something you really don't think is really on the cards table there for you?
I think a win, probably not. I don't think for that or Baku there's a win on the cards. Maybe a podium. I don't know. I don't want to get my hopes up. But either way, I've done more than what I came in expecting to do. So I'm happy regardless. If I get more podiums, I get more podiums. Singapore is usually a good one for me on F1. I have a lot of fun around it as well. I've got quite a good history with it. We'll see. I have no idea what to expect. I think the last time I did a lap of Singapore was about 4 months ago. So, but that and then Baku, which I've done more recently. I'm looking forward to Baku. I think will be a good, albeit chaotic, season finale. I think it will be good fun. So here's hoping.
Well, Baku's quite a similar track to Las Vegas, I would say, with the really long straights. So I wish you the best of luck in the final 2 races, and hopefully we'll see you again.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Right, Frey, that leaves us with only one person to talk to, and that is Ben Mills. Hello, Ben, and welcome into the interview. Tell us how that went for you.
Well, the sprint was pretty successful. It's the best position I've finished all season, so I mean, I can't complain about taking maximum points from that race. And then the race, I think I finished where I deserved to. Chris's and Luke were a lot quicker in front. I know I pitted a lap later than both of them, but it just meant I had a bit more tyres at the end, and I got the fastest lap as well. So I think I maximised it considering the conditions, but yeah.
And well, Vegas again, not really known for its rain. How do you cope for sudden changes in weather, especially with Parc Ferme being a rule, so you can't really change much of the downforce? How do you change your mindset or maybe your car setup going into a race weekend with changeable conditions?
Yeah, I mean, for the sprint, I went minimum downforce with what I had practiced with for dry conditions. But you can change the setup in between the sprint and the race. So I went a little higher on the wings, which, I mean, my race was so lonely I couldn't really test out whether it was worth it or not. But the pace seemed okay. But those guys just had the edge early on, and I made a mistake before the long straight on lap 2. So that decided it really.
And I mean, obviously you had a pretty good performance today. How do you think you'll fare in the final 2 rounds of the championship? You've got Singapore and Azerbaijan. Baku. In the final round. What are your thoughts on those?
I enjoy Baku. I think the race is always going to be chaos, but we'll see. Hopefully I can keep it clean and pick up another 2 podiums. That's my aim, and maybe nick a full race win somewhere if some of the top guys are off it. But yeah, I mean, I got good points today, and I've gained on my nearest rival, so no complaints really.
Well, congratulations again, Ben, and thank you for speaking to us. Best of luck in the last 2 races.
Thank you.
Right. Well, Frey, do you have any more thoughts on everything that's just happened? So much chaos.
Honestly, I'm still trying to process most of it. I haven't commentated F1 for a very, very long time, if at all. So it has been really, really fun hopping in the comms box one more time for for BUSR, and hopefully I do get to do this a little bit more often in the future. I mean, hell, maybe you'll even see me on track if I'm confident enough. We'll see what happens.
Well, we'd love to see you more, Frey. But for everybody else at home, if you'd like to join us in on the fun, then head over to busr.gg/Discord and join our lovely community. We've got Formula 1, we've got iRacing, we've got Assetto Corsa, and much more to come. And thank you to our sponsor, the Grid Finder. If you'd like to join the league, just head over there, and I'm sure you'll find something that is up your alley. This has been round 6 of the Formula 1 2025 Winter Championship at the BUSR. Thank you for watching. I've been Doom. I've been joined by Frey. Good night.
There is no place and no moment in history where I could stand and say, oh, it begins here, now. Road.